But that's actually leading into an interesting an interesting question of where you started in terms of not just film, but in terms of I would like to make something that's got humor in it, that's funny. Do you always come from that place? Does it, whatever you do have humor in it, Don? Or I mean, it seems when I think of even again when I say Bounce, I think there's humor in it. So is that always a place that you go to, or is it just an interest along with all the others?
Well, somebody here said, I don't really think of it as comedy when I'm writing it, You
don't?
No, because everybody has to be very serious about what they want. Every scene
You
has
don't ever
to
feel
work.
like, oh, that's a pretty funny line, or somebody...
Sometimes I do, but it's not like, I don't think I'm in a comedy. I just think maybe the person is stupid.
Has a sense of humor.
Has a sense of humor.
Right.
Well, it's hard to write characters who think they're funny. I don't do that.
Because they often talk in voices and do things
well,
like that, yeah.
the character that Lisa Kudrow plays, she thought she was funny. Not Lisa, but the character herself thought she was funny. So I made sure she had, some kind of wincy jokes that she would then. The funny thing was her reaction. She would deliver a joke, and none of the people would laugh, and then she'd be all mad at them. But I don't really think of it as a comedy. When we were shooting the movie, I never said, "Boy, this is looking very funny." It comes later. And, it often comes in the editing room because you can't really see how the other person is reacting when, the actor is saying something. And then you get into the editing room and just a look on somebody's face, or like Lisa does a lot of recoils, and that kind of thing makes a funny moment. But I don't think the characters think they're funny, and I don't really think I'm funny. If you're really specific about people, they will be funny because they're going to bump into other people if those other characters are also specific. You know how we are in our ordinary life, we change who we really all feel to make ourselves socially acceptable. So if you kind of peel that back a little bit and let the characters in your movie behave like they are inside, then it is funny because people are fucking crazy, really. They're nuts. And if you just have somebody who's not quite battened down the hatches hard enough, then they'll collide with other people and it'll be funny. But I don't think of it sitting down to do a comedy versus a drama. Sometimes I sit down, is this going to have an ironic tone, or am I just going to try for once in my life to just tell a story simply? Like be Chekhov or something. But it doesn't really ever come out that way.
Who thought all of this stuff were comedies?
He thought it was hilarious,
yeah.
Like Shakespeare's comedies, But I don't think they're that funny.
Shakespeare's comedy.
Yeah.
It's funny, characters who think that they are funny and say funny lines, that's what sitcoms are.
Yeah.
And then like the funniest movies are people who are desperate and angry, like trying to get things from other people, and
Like for you, give an example of that.
I mean, like just The Hangover was a huge hit last year. The Hangover is a really funny comedy because it's a bunch of people who are like, kind of like, like I said, desperate and crazy, and they're never ever kind of saying a witty bon mot to each other. They're just kind of
what?
Bon mot, whatever. BONMOT. What is that? How do you pronounce that?
Weirdly French. Yeah.
Is it? You know what? Let's circle back to you, to Terry Gilliam and the European trip.
Fair enough. Let's do it. No, so but you say Hangover, another film that you think of as funny that hits those things that you say. I'm not taking a call. I'm just seeing what time it is. I'm not pushing these buttons because.
No, but let's just talk about Super Troopers and like that scene of Jay's. Like that scene is hysterical, and it's not like these people are like comically trying to kind of thinking they're very funny people and look at the funny things we're saying. They're just kind of like trying to stay out of jail.
All right, good enough.
Yeah,
good enough.